today we are going to be learning about context clues. There is an acronym for context clues to help you remember the different types of context clues that there are. I'm not going to test you on what kind they are, but just knowing this is how context clues work will help you. So the acronym is IDEAS. So you can use context clues by inferencing. That's the first I, inferencing. The second one is definition. So sometimes within a sentence, they will actually define the new vocabulary word for you. Example is the next one. And for example, it gives you an example of what they're talking about when they use the word. A is antonyms, which of course is the opposite of what the word means. And the last one, S, is synonym. All right. So let me explain those briefly. I am going to give you the word authoritarian used in 5 sentences, and they will follow just what I did before, IDEAS. So the first one is an inference, and by the end you'll know what authoritarian means, okay? So, Doug wanted to be a different kind of parent than his father was because his dad's authoritarian style always made Doug feel afraid to communicate. All right, so you can infer what authoritarian means based on this sentence. You can infer it. All right, here's authoritarian again, used with context clues by providing the definition. Doug's dad had an authoritarian parenting style with high demands, low communication, and harsh responses. All right, so there you go. It's been defined for you. And so even if you didn't know what that word meant, a definition was provided. All right, the next one is example. Larry had such an authoritarian parenting style that he often screamed at his kids in front of others. It's his way or no way. So yelling, screaming, his way or no way. Those are examples of an authoritarian style. Here's authoritarian used with a context clue and the strategy of an antonym, opposite word, like black and white, right and wrong, night and day. Those are all antonyms, okay? While Doug's mother was nurturing and she always listened to his side, his father was more authoritarian. All right, so we gave mom as the antonym. She's very nurturing. She always listened. Dad, on the other hand, authoritarian. All right, the last one is synonym. Bob's dad was very bossy and liked to be known by his kids as large and in charge. Bob found him just plain mean. Doug's dad was authoritarian as well. Bossy, mean, authoritarian. IDEAS, IDEAS. Those are the letters for the acronym to help you remember context clues. So the I stands for what? Inferencing. All right, so you can infer what it means. The D, definition. So it gives the definition right in there. The E, example. It gives an example of what they're talking about. A, antonym, the opposite of. And S, synonym, a word that means the same thing. All right, friends? On a side note, there is also another way that you can get a clue as to what a word means if you don't understand it, and that is to look at its word parts. So there are 2 types of word parts in a word that can help identify the meaning of a word you don't already know, and that is the root or the affix. A root is the basic part of the word. Like if the word was rewind, wind, is the root. That's what it comes down to. Most of the meaning is in that part of the word, wind. So to wind something up. But re is an affix. Affixes are word parts that come at the beginning of a word or at the end of a word. They're kind of attached to that root word. So in our case, rewind, it changes what the word means. So if I'm winding something up, like let's say I took my lights off the Christmas tree and I'm winding them up. But if I was watching something on TV with my husband that I had recorded and he went out of the room to get me some cake and now he missed a really funny part, I want to rewind it to the beginning so he doesn't miss it. So re is a prefix. Prefix comes at the beginning of the word, pre. A suffix comes at the end of the word, and that would be my ing. There are a lot of prefixes, so let's just take un and anti. So if I'm winding something, like I said, if I'm winding a bandage around a cut on my arm, I want to keep it there for a while. After it's been there and the bleeding has stopped, I need to unwind the bandage. So that changes the meaning of what I'm doing. Okay? Anti means that something is the opposite or going against. So if I said like alcohol is a depressant, but I could also say Edwina takes an antidepressant. So that changes the meaning. Anti meaning it goes against her feelings of depression. But you can also have a change on the end. That's a suffix. So let's talk about, there's a number of them. Let's talk about Ian, I-A-N, or I-V-E. So those change the intensity or part of speech. The noun authority means power. It becomes an adjective, authoritarian, like we talked about, authoritarian parenting styles. I-A-N means expert, calculating, or savvy in this case, power. So savvy in power, like historian is savvy in history, librarian is an expert in libraries. All right, so authoritarian, savvy in power, which we just learned about. The noun authority becomes authoritative. That means it's connected with power, okay? Like legislative means connected with legislation. Argumentative means connected with arguing, all right? So those suffixes, prefixes, and roots can all give us clues, because if we know what those mean, we can transfer those to words that we don't know, and they can help us understand them better. Take care, and let's get on with the show, shall we?